Welcome to the Capes of Kamloops podcast, where we celebrate our local heroes by celebrating their works on the big screen. I'm one of your hosts, Zach.
I'm Kyle.
And we are joined by Manny Manuel to talk about Clerks, directed and written by Kevin Smith. This, of course, is to celebrate our local retail workers around the area. So thank you to all our retail workers in Kamloops. And Manny, to start off real quick, Clerks holds a special place in your heart, I understand.
It does. It's one of my favorite films of all time, like in my top 20. Might crack my top 10, but that'd be really pushing it. But yeah, Clerks has been a very important movie in my life.
What was your first experience with the film?
My first experience with the film was when it came to home video. I didn't see it in theaters. I live here in Kamloops. So when it hit theaters, it obviously didn't come here. But I started in 94, was around the time I started really getting into movies. And I heard about the movie hitting the festival circuit and how popular or what a critical darling it was. So when it came to Blockbuster, I snatched it up immediately. I'm like, a movie set in a convenience store? I'm like, I work at a convenience store. I'm like, this sounds perfect. And little did I know that I was going to see a movie that around the time was going to completely change my life. So I would have seen it probably mid-95, roughly. And it blew my mind. I was seeing people on screen that were exactly like me and my friends, just goofing around the store, talking about pop culture, making ridiculous connections to movies that make no sense, but at the same time make exact sense. And fooling around with customers. We never went to the same extremes that they do in the movies, but we definitely thought about it. We experienced a lot of the same things that they do, the same, I'm pretty sure I can use this word, because the same asinine questions that they get. Ridiculous, stupid questions that you are trying to compose yourself to not show that you think this is the stupidest person on the planet. And it was absolutely mind-blowing. This came at the time in the 90s when independent cinema was really starting to roll, and it was the first time seeing on screen filmmakers referencing movies in their movies and using them as either parts of the plot or important parts of the conversation. And like I said, it was like watching you and your friends on screen, and it was mind-blowing.
Nice. So in full disclosure, Manny, you no longer work at the convenience store that you were referring to.
No.
We really wanted to talk to you just because of how your story is different, having worked there when this movie came out.
Mm-hmm.
So can you tell us a little bit about, once you saw the movie, did you share it with your friends that were working with you?
Yes, I told everybody. Because at that time, when the movie came out in 94, and like I said, I saw it in 95. So I was about 19 years old when I saw this movie. And when you're 19, you're in your teens, all of your friends either work in retail or fast food. If they're lucky, they might have a skill where I had a couple friends that were like mechanics. So they basically got a job almost like right out of high school. And then for my friends that were highly intelligent, they were still in university, doing part-time jobs, but working towards something greater. But for a lot of us, it was retail and fast food. And so I told everybody about this. And this was extremely popular. Everybody I knew saw this movie. Everybody went to go rent it because when they heard, again, a movie set in a convenience store talking about the stuff that we talk about, they're like, I need to see this. And everybody my age, and obviously it's my circle of friends, so we share the same interests, everyone loved it. It blew up. It would be, in today's parlance, it went viral.
Nice.
Well, that's definitely one of the genius aspects that Kevin Smith was able to implement. What am I trying to say? Include into the film is the relatability that it has to everybody. Because I worked retail when I was out of high school, and obviously, it's very different nowadays. I mean, there's a lot of things in this movie where if people had phones, I'm sure a lot of those people would be fired pretty quickly.
Yes.
But because it was such a different time, there wasn't social media. You could get away with a little bit more, so to speak, maybe not to the extremes like you mentioned in the film, but just the universal appeal. Like if you've worked in retail, like me, who's worked in retail years removed from this film, I was watching this movie for the first time, mind you.
This was the first time watching.
This was my first time watching the screening. Yes.
Oh, I'm
Got to
so
see it
happy.
in the theater. It was pretty cool. But I was watching it, and I was having flashbacks to some of my experiences with retail and some of the customer I've dealt with. And so, speaking of being with this movie pretty much since it came out, how do you feel it's held up?
I feel, I'm full disclosure, I'm obviously biased because this movie means a lot to me. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. I say for a lot of the things that they talk about and they joke about and the way that they interact with their customers, I think it's aged totally fine. On the other side, there are some things that they say and some jokes that they make that are no longer things that people would talk about or joke about. So as long as you can go into the movie knowing you have to be aware it's a product of its time, then I think it's held up perfectly. But if you are someone, if you're someone that's easily offended, don't watch this movie. It's that simple. It is a hard R in the things that it jokes about and the things that it talks about. So if that's the case, if you're someone that is easily offended, I do not recommend this movie. But if you're someone that can understand that this was made in '94 with no ill intent, then I think it's held up well. A lot of the things that they discuss, pop culture-wise, is still completely relevant. And a lot of the things that they deal with their customers are incredibly, I'm sure people working retail are still dealing with incredibly ignorant and stupid people. So I think it's aged fine, but I am very biased.
And another kind of recurring theme in the movie is hockey, which obviously we have a big hockey culture here in Kamloops,
Yes.
and you have been involved in hockey in your life. So that rooftop hockey scene,
Yep.
have you ever recreated it?
No, not on a rooftop. I have a rooftop story I could tell you about working at a convenience store. But at the time in 94 and 95 when I watched it, hockey was my sport. So again, now we've introduced another aspect into the film that at the time I love with. So it's just feeding into everything I love. The convenience stores that I worked at, am I allowed to reveal where that was? Yeah. I worked for Turbo, which was a subsidiary of Shell. And the stores I worked at, the first one I worked at was very, very small. It would be incapable of hosting a game on top. The second location I moved to, when we rebuilt the store rooftop definitely would have been big enough.
Okay.
But unlike, I'm sure, movie magic, like they probably cut around a lot of stuff. You could maybe have like a quarter of a section to play on. You might be able to take some shots on the goalie. You could not have, there's not enough room, or there's too many objects on top of a roof where you would have to play around them to have a full court game.
Okay.
The building was big enough to have a game the same size as they were probably having.
Yeah.
But there's objects in the way that are immovable. So don't get me wrong, I thought about it 100%. But yeah, I did do something on a rooftop at the convenience store. That, funny enough, I ran into my old boss a couple years ago down at Ribfest, and he brought it up to my daughter. He's like, you should ask your dad about that night. So yeah.
Is that a sharing moment?
I can share it. There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a long story, so you guys can edit out whatever you want.
Sure.
So I worked at this Turbo gas station in Valley View, and it was a very small store. And I had a manager. Who was my manager at the time? I think it was Randy. I think just the owner was there. No, it wasn't. It was this girl named Christina. So when you opened the store, you were by yourself for an hour. and then the next person would come in and you'd work together. And so it was the summer, and I asked my manager, not the owner, I asked my manager, I'm like, can I sleep on the roof one night? And she's like, what? I was like, if I take an extension cord and bring an alarm clock, I can set the alarm to wake up in time, and I'll just come down off the roof and I'll open this door. And she's like, are you serious? I was like, I'm 100% serious. And she's like, I guess? I'm like, she's like, I'll tell you what, like if you do it and I don't find out about it and Randy doesn't find out about it, then I guess we're none the wiser. And I was like, done. So I brought a foamy and a sleeping bag and a pillow and an extension cord and it was pretty easy to get up on the roof. So I climbed up there, set everything up. It's the summer, it's really hot.
Yeah.
And I told a bunch of my friends I was going to do this. And I went to sleep. And in the middle of the night, a couple of my friends showed up and they were like throwing rocks up there at me, woke me up, and we laughed. And I said, go away. I'm like, I got to work in the morning. And so I go back to sleep. And again, it's summertime, so the sun's out early. And I kind of wake up. I'm like, I'm sweating. I'm like, it's really hot. Oh, what time is it? And I look over my alarm clock and it's dead.
Oh,
I'm like, what? And this is pre-cell phone, so I don't have a cell phone. I'm like, but I did wear I don't normally wear watches, but I did wear a watch just in case. The store on the Sunday opened at 8. And I look at my watch and it's 8:30. And I'm like, oh, I just kind of stretch. I'm like, I'm here. Like, I don't have to rush. Like, what's the rush? Like, I'm here, right? And my coworker wasn't coming in until 9, who was at the time one of my best friends. His name was Marty. He knew I was up there. And so stretching. And so I just kind of start pulling on the extension cord. Somebody had unplugged it.
Yeah.
And I was like, so it was either my friends who thought it'd be funny or somebody saw an extension cord and just unplugged it. I'm like, all right, whatever. So I'm just kind of stretching. And then I hear the sound of like the garbage cans being brought out. And like somebody's down there opening the store. And I'm like, Marty knows I'm up here. Like, why didn't he come get me? So I kind of lean over the edge and my boss walks out, the owner. He's opening the store. And I lay back down. I'm like, oh, I'm in so much trouble. I'm in so much trouble. I'm like, I don't know what to do. And the roof has like the lip, right? So it's about like, you come over the lip and there's like about this much room, and then the ceiling or the floor is down here.
Yeah.
So if you're lying down, you can't be seen. So I'm laying there and I'm like, my car's there. So he must be wondering where I am. Well, I told Christina, I'll take my medicine. Like if I got caught, I got to face the music. So I quickly get ready. And just as I'm about to jump down the roof, a customer for propane pulls up, which is farther away from the building. So Randy goes out to get it, and I jump down behind him, and I'm like, I run past him. He's like, when did you get here? I'm like, just now. I'm like, ha ha ha. And I run past, and I'm talking to the customer, I'm like, fill it up? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, perfect. So I'm sitting there holding propane. I'm like, okay, if he doesn't see my stuff on the roof when he leaves, I'm like, I'm in the clear. I can just say, I was at a friend's house just down the street. Like, I'm just thinking, I'm like, I got away with it. And so the customer walks up to Randy and goes, what was that guy doing up on the roof? And I was like, oh. So I'm just sitting there and I'm like, well, it's my last day at Turbo. I guess I get to do all the fun things I've always wanted. And Randy comes over and I'll have to edit what he says. He comes over, he's like, did you sleep on the roof last night? And I was like, yeah. He goes, you're really weird. Walks away, didn't get in any trouble whatsoever. And that was like, that would have actually been around like 94, 95, like around the time that movie came out. Yeah, and he still remembers it because, like I said, I saw him just 2 years ago at Ribfest. And yeah.
So in true Clerks fashion, you shut down the store to do something on the roof.
I didn't shut down the store. I just didn't open it on time. But yeah, it's one of the many, many adventures. Because I worked for Shell for 10 years. Yeah. So yeah, but that was fun.
Nice.
I can't believe I didn't get fired.
That's the best story I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, I've got lots of other ones, but the best story I can't tell.
Yeah?
Not on air. I'm happy to tell it off air, but it's not one I can tell on air.
On the note of fun stories.
Yes.
There's a lot of bad customers in Clerks.
Yes.
What are your highlights for bad customers?
In my own experience?
Yeah.
Well, I've had some racist customers. the fun thing for me, I'm First Nations, but I don't look First Nations. Most people think I'm Mexican or Spanish. So a lot of times, a lot of people think that they can say racist things about First Nations, and I won't care because I'm Spanish or Mexican. So had to deal with them a few times. Got to kick them out of the store.
Nice.
And then call my boss and say, I kicked some people out. We obviously shoplifting. It was we loved it when we would catch them because we would just embarrass them. Lots of stupid questions, similar to in the movie. We would get, that we would have big signs about how much stuff would cost. And they'd be like, "How much is it?" We work at a gas station, and the price of gas is posted outside for everyone to see. And people come and they're like, "How much is gas?" They're like, "Are you kidding me?" Like those kind of things. Well, I'm trying to think of ones that I can talk about. Yeah, those would be the main ones. And then lots of people, like the ones we get a lot, people angry at me over the price of gas. Like I'm the one that chose to set it, or not to throw aspersions to an area. The turbo I worked at for the longest was on the North Shore, and we were central to the welfare office, as well as a liquor store. And so we would, on Welfare Wednesdays, we were very busy.
You got the 2-for-1 deal.
They would come in on their way to go get alcohol. They would buy their cigarettes from us. We learned from the distributors, the tobacco distributors, that in Kamloops, our little gas station sold the third most cigarettes in the entire city.
Wow.
Yeah. The only one I remember that was above us was the Safeway on the North Shore.
Wow. Interesting. Yep. I don't even know if they sell them anymore at Safeway. Oh, at the gas station.
Yeah.
I always forget there's a little gas station there.
Yeah. Like the turbo I worked at that I'm referring to doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
On the North Shore, it got torn down.
Yeah.
But yeah, so a lot of people angry with us over the price of cigarettes. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't set the price, dude. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, lots of angry customers about the price of stuff. That was the one you deal with the most. A lot of people that would be upset about the price of gas. People trying to drive away. This was you didn't have to prepay your gas. We would pump it and then you would pay.
Right.
So we get people driving away. We get people driving away with the gas pump still in their car, which was extremely dangerous.
Yeah.
Did have this one car, no fault of theirs or our own, but I didn't know. It's not my job to notice, but they had actually run over a piece of cardboard and it got stuck under and up into their engine and it caught fire.
Oh, wow.
And so I didn't see until after they left. So they're driving away and I see all the smoke. I'm like, oh. And they, thankfully, when they pulled out onto the street, they were stuck in traffic and flames just coming out from underneath. And we're yelling at them. And we ran over, like we took the buckets for washing the windows and we just chucked it under. Yeah, it was scary.
Yeah.
Wow. But yeah, bad customers, mostly just rude about the price of stuff.
Yeah.
Thankfully, no, I've never been held up.
Yeah.
And our store had never been held up. We did have some people break in twice in my 10 years. But yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of why I sometimes forget about the Safeway one, is because it got held up so many times, so they closed it for a while and then they brought it back.
Oh, the little Safeway gas station.
Yeah.
Oh, I was talking about when I talk about the cigarettes, I'm talking about the Safeway store.
Oh, they sold them at the store.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think they still do.
Do they?
I know Save-On does. I don't know if Safeway does, but
they probably
I would imagine they would.
I imagine they do. Yeah.
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 We did. Another theft. I remember when we first got lottery.
Oh.
And you'd have like the scratch and wins on your counter under that glass container. And I remember Randy and I were working at the back of the store, and this guy just walked in, leaned up over, started reaching around trying to grab all the tickets, and we both watched him for a bit to see how long he would go. And we're like, "Can we help you?" And he freaked out. He was so scared. He just ran out the door. He didn't get anything. But we watched him for like a good 30 seconds. We're just looking at each other like, this is awesome. Because he wasn't going to get to the door before we got to him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, mostly just rude about prices of stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, dumb questions. Lots of direction questions.
Oh yeah.
Being at a gas station.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
One of the things I really like about the film Clerks is the two lead characters, Dante and Randall, and kind of the contrast and the war of ideologies that they have about being a retail worker. Where Dante in the film, he's a little bit more, I don't have control over my life. I don't have control over things is where I work. As all throughout the film, he's not supposed to be there that day.
Yeah.
And that's his constant argument that for things going wrong. And he's not even supposed to be dealing it because he's not supposed to be being there that day. And then Randall, who really doesn't care at all, does what he wants and even makes his point pretty explicitly when he spits in the customer's face, which I hope is a little bit more of an extreme in the movie than in reality. But what I'm curious is how you land on that kind of ideology war, where how do you feel or when you were a retail worker, how did you feel about your position, about your job? And how do you feel the reputation of retail workers was back then, is today? And what do you think the reputation should be? Or if you could speak to someone who has never done retail before, how would you want to be treated when they come to you as a clerk?
So the first part, I would say I align probably dead in the middle between Dante and Randall. I think outwardly I'm more like Dante. I loved my job. I loved working at the gas station. And I think part of it was, not even part of it, a lot of it is that I like to work with people. And so I'm very outgoing. I was having a lot of fun, and I was given the freedom by my boss, Randy, to basically, as long as everything got done, he didn't really care what else we did. And so we got to have a lot of fun in the store. Like we played so many games inside that store, and we caused a lot of okay, well, here's another example. We didn't play hockey on the roof at the little store in Valley View, which is where I slept on the roof, but we invented a baseball game that we would play while customers were not there. And we made our own bat, we made our own ball, we had our own rules, and we played for months, and it was awesome. But as long as the store was kept clean, the customers were never left alone, or not even left alone, like we never ignored them. So in my mind, or outwardly, I was like Dante. I loved my job. I loved dealing with the customers. He didn't, but I did, and I loved my job. On the inside, I'm like Randall. I wanted to rip these people apart. Like the stupid people, even like not even the stupid people, I would just see opportunities where I'd be like, if I had the nuts, I would do this right now. We had lots of, like I said, I have a lot of stories, but a lot of them I cannot share on this format. On a little bit more of an R-rated format, I would totally share. I would just have to change some names to protect some people. But there's a lot of stuff that goes on that is hilarious. Moving on from that, so I would say I'm kind of in the middle. So outwardly, I'm Dante. Inside, I'm definitely Randall. I think people in the 90s when I was growing up, I don't think retail workers, I feel right now, retail is really looked down upon. And in the 90s, I don't feel that was at all. Nobody was ever mocked for working retail. Honestly, I think the only job that we ever really made fun of people for was McDonald's. And the only reason we made fun of people for working at McDonald's is that at that time, they would take everybody. It might be the same way now, I have no idea. But we're like, you couldn't get a job anywhere else, but you had to go to McDonald's. That was basically the only retail job that we made fun of. But if you got a job working at the mall or at a gas station, nobody ever made fun of you, didn't look down. And I do not feel that's the way now. I think if somebody got a job working retail or at a gas station or something like that, I think people see them as lesser. At least that's the way it feels nowadays. Back then, nobody ever made me feel silly or made fun of me for working at a gas station. Everyone probably saw, or I talked about how much fun I was having. They're like, can you get me a job there? And sorry, what was the last part of the question, Zach? Do you remember?
Oh, just how like retail workers are treated by the public, and
Okay.
how you feel we can kind of, give a message to the public of how to treat clerks and retail workers in a respectful, nice, like when you were dealing with customers in your
Yeah.
retail time. What did you just want to like? How did you just want to be treated? How did you want to tell them how they were treating you affected you, and just how can we help retail workers today get better respect from customers today?
Okay, so I actually think the onus is more on people in general than on retail workers.
Absolutely.
I 100% believe, at least it feels this way. I feel people nowadays do not see other people as people. It almost feels like everyone is, not everyone, I'm using that in a general term. It feels like a lot of people think they are the center of the universe and their actions have no effect on the people around them. A perfect example, a very similar example is the incredible lack of theater etiquette in theaters today. That did not happen in the 90s. If anybody started talking, obviously there's no cell phones, but if anybody started talking, that was not okay. And everybody in the theater let them know it. Now, people are putting their phones on. I can see people's screens, all that kind of stuff. So circle back, a lot of people just feel that their life is more important and they can do whatever they want. People around them be damned. And so I don't know if retail workers can do much to try to assuade that, except for maybe calling people out on their BS.
Yeah.
Like if someone is treating a retail worker in a poor way, that retail worker in the best way they possibly can should call them out on it. The only thing is, people don't like being called out on their own stuff, and they'll probably pull out their phone or they'll call the manager. They'll pull as we like to call it now, they'll pull a complete Karen. And they'll try to flip it some way that they were not at fault. And they always will use the customer's always right. Well, I'm sorry, the customer's not always right.
Yeah.
It's not
That's also not even the whole quote. That it's one of those ones where it got cut off halfway. The full quote is the customer is always right in matters of taste. And that is fair enough because it's a matter of taste. Doesn't mean the customer is always right. And this I totally agree, like this attitude of the like general public that is a lot more like conceited and selfish, like on average, obviously, not a general rule, but it seems even just in like our lifetime, like I've noticed that change happening and getting bigger and bigger. And not just in young people, like just across the board. Like it is really weird. Like I remember a time when if you were talking to a retail worker, especially someone who's kind of more of a salesperson, like if you were at like a tech shop or something and you were looking for something, like you got to know the person a little bit. You knew their name or something. And now it's like people will just like start screaming at humans that you don't even know their name. You don't know anything about them. You just show up and start screaming. And I don't get it.
Yes.
And I hate it.
Yep.
Yeah, I have a couple of friends working in Metrotown Mall right now in Vancouver, and one of them specifically works in like he's a manager and he handles all the returns for a store there.
Fun.
Holy, it's like I visited him at the store, and like I'm like, man, you look depressed. Like you look so different than what I usually see you like as a friend, you know. And it's tough, and I think that's part of why we wanted to choose retail workers to shine a light on. I think the environment, especially since COVID, has gotten way harder on retail workers, and hopefully this helps even just a little bit.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Well, that's what was so interesting about watching Clerks was it was before my time, and so it was like I was watching a job that I've done, but at a different time, and just to see the similarities and the differences of like, because I feel like there's always just been that kind of wall of title where they are a customer and you are a worker. And when you're in the store, that is all you are, is a customer and a worker. And the customer has been, to some degree, I think, detrimentally, given the position of the customer is always right. They have a seemingly more authority in their entitlement over you. Yeah. And I feel like that's definitely something that is an issue. Where when people came to my till when I was working retail. They didn't see a person who got up that morning, got ready, came here, is going to leave at 6 and has a life. They just see this is the face of this place where I'm having problems.
Yeah.
So you're the cause of my problem.
100%.
Yeah.
Yep.
And 100%. It was
100%.
interesting to see that translate in the 90s as well, which I thought was captured. Like I said, I think the genius and kind of the everlasting impression that Clerks has left is that is universal. Like everyone experiences that, and it's still going on to this day.
Yeah.
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 On that note, was there any customers in Clerks that you were like, oh yeah, that is a real person that I've encountered?
Oh yeah, well the milkmaid is easily.
Oh, yeah?
That is 100% because we sold milk there and we would get them.
Yeah.
Yeah. We didn't sell eggs, but people. So I'm trying to think of the eggs one. We never got like the Chuli's representative because that just wouldn't happen. But I love that story. We would get every once in a while. There was that guy that was reading the headlines from the like the National Enquirer, the ludicrous headlines. We had a guy that would sometimes come in and grab the newspaper and like read the headlines out loud, and we're like, "Are you buying that paper? Because you got to pay for it if you're going to read it." And he would eventually stop, but he would do that at least once a month. See what other customers they have. I can guarantee you we definitely sold cigarettes to minors, but not to like a 6-year-old. 4-year-old. And then
Statute of limitations has to be up on that, eh?
yeah, like well, I'll tell you this, I didn't ID everybody, but it was pretty easy to tell like if someone was of age. If they were close, I would ID them, but I guarantee
well, especially being close to that age.
Yeah, like I was that age.
Yeah.
But I guarantee you some probably either more mature looking people came in that were probably underage, and I was like, whatever. I don't care. So what other customers did they have? Yeah, I can't think of any other ones, but the milkmaid is 100% accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, guaranteed. I'm trying to think of any other. I'm just trying to think of stuff. Well, we carried a lot of the same things that they did. I'm trying to think of anybody like the egg guy. The egg guy's sticking in my head, but I can't give because we didn't have eggs at our store.
That's probably my favorite bit.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Just looking through every single egg to find the perfect one.
Yeah, there's just maybe I'm conflating it with another place I worked, but I feel like I had customers that would purposely try and find like the exact one they wanted. But I'm getting old. My memory's starting to go.
Hey, that's all right. Happens to us all.
It will happen to you.
Are there any like major differences in how the store in Clerks is run against like the store that you were working at in Kamloops?
Not really, with the exception of part, and it's obviously it's part of the movie, but like the boss in the morning when he calls him in says I'll be there at noon. That with our store, that wouldn't happen in regards to like we wouldn't just be like, too bad, so sad, you're there all day. We had a much better support system. At the same time, at the small store I worked at, we would have 4 people work a day. One person would open, one person would show up an hour after. They would work till about 3. Then the next 2 people would come on. They would stay together till an hour before closing. One would leave and one would stay the last hour and close. Okay. Which, looking back on it now, not the safest thing. Yeah. Because they'd be by themselves. But again, we never got held up, so whatever. But when I transferred over to the North Shore and we rebuilt the store, we had 5 people a day. 2 people open, 2 people close, and a cover in the middle. And so that aspect, the support you would have, is the only difference. But again, this is a little mom and pop convenience store, so I would have to guess. It seems like I know this because I'm a massive Kevin Smith fan, is that the same family owned the convenience store and the video store.
Right.
They are two separate businesses, but it definitely sounds and seems like both Dante and Randall worked at both. And I know that Kevin Smith in real life worked at both.
Right.
One family owned them, and you would work, sometimes you'd be working in the convenience store, sometimes you'd work in the video store. Looking at the store, I don't quite know their hours. I would have to guess they're maybe if the owners are working, you might have, we'll include the owners, you might only need like a staff of 6 to do that. You'd probably have 4 full-timers and 2 part-timers would probably be enough to get you through, maybe a little bit more. So that was the only unrealistic thing in regards to that they would just leave him there. I understand that, they do say it. I think the owners had already planned to go to Vermont.
Right.
So they probably didn't want to give up their trip. But at the same time, like I do know, like my boss, if an emergency came up, he would have been there.
Yeah.
So for the sake of the movie, it doesn't bother me, but that's the only part in regards to running the store that I found not quite believable. In regards to the operation of the store, there's no way, like, again, it's for the movie, it's for the fun, but leaving the money on the counter for them to take their own change, no. People aren't, they don't care that the camera's on, they're taking that money. Especially, again, not to throw aspersions, when I worked on the North Shore, we would never do that.
Yeah.
Not a chance. If you want to know, I'll tell you another fun one we used to play. For those watching, this is bad. I'm going to generalize about a certain area of our town. The North Shore is generally considered a little bit lower income. And at the time in the 90s, when I was working there, wasn't the most hospitable place to be. You had a lot of people with addiction problems and a lot of homeless people live there. So for fun,
Hey, be careful. You're talking to a couple of North Shore boys over here.
totally fine.
He's
But
not lying, though.
if you,
he's not.
I'm like, if you guys want to argue the point, I'm willing to have that debate.
I got no argument.
Yeah.
I live there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we used to have a little fun, and in the winter, we would freeze a loony to the concrete and watch them spend trying to get it out of the ice. And we'd have it right up against the window. We'd all be leaning over the window just laughing as they're trying to get this one loony out of the ice. So, yeah. So while, of course, we had at times customers that were not very nice to us, we played a lot of tricks on customers. A lot of them have no idea about the stuff that we did.
That trick would fit right into Clerks.
Yes.
100%.
I cannot. And then, yeah, it was so fun. We did it every year without fail. And it was countless hours of entertainment.
Very nice.
Wow. We usually do a segment called Feasible or Flimsy, but there was a lot of stuff in here that I just felt was flimsy. It was kind of hard to sift through.
Sure.
But I am curious because you've already told stories that I would think are so outlandish that if they happened in the movie, but they're from your life.
Yes.
So I'm kind of curious if there's moments in the movie where it would seem unrealistic to me. It would seem unrealistic to someone who never worked in that environment.
Sure.
But you watch it and go, 100%, I've done that, or I've seen that,
Yep.
or that is accurate. And the person would be, like me, would be surprised to hear that what happened in that moment actually could happen.
Okay, so the easily the most flimsy one for me is the guy dying in the bathroom.
I'm glad to hear that.
That
I did love, though, because, I mean, we're used to this working here.
yes.
There being just like little quirks about the place that everyone just has to accept. The lights go out at 5:14.
We don't know why.
No idea why. Yeah.
Yeah.
It just happens.
So in regards to that, so most of the time when I'm thinking of my time at Turbo, most of the time it's the one at the North Shore because that's where I spent the most time.
Right.
So that one, the bathroom was outside the store. You would have to go outside and around the back, and we had a key that we had to give people to get in. So the idea of a guy could die in there is definitely possible. What is really flimsy about it is there's no way you would ever give them a magazine to go in there, and you would never give them the toilet paper that he requests. That would never happen. We would never, ever do that. Like I said, I wish I could say the hockey on the roof is flimsy. It's not because I played a baseball game. So that
surprises me to be.
That is completely feasible. And that's just one of many games that we played. Many games that we played. So what else? Is there another aspect or something that you guys were unsure that you guys might think is flimsy, but I would definitely say is feasible? The selling to a 4-year-old would never happen. Yeah. So that's flimsy.
I was curious about the guy coming back to give the fine.
That's not how fines would work.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
They wouldn't come back the same day.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty sure it wouldn't be done in person. You'd probably just get something in the mail.
Yeah, that part seems a little strange to me.
But you can't do that. And it makes no sense in the movie because you need it all on the same day.
It's funnier if he shows up.
100%. I wish I could say, so it definitely could be feasible to close down the store to go to a wake.
That was exactly what I was going to ask.
Again, the thing with the store I worked at is we had such a large staff that if somebody wanted to leave, it would just be a matter of just calling some people. And honestly, like you're trying to leave to go to a wake, your coworkers would be like, I'll be right there, right? So that is definitely flimsy, but I can tell you that we have locked the store to go get something. So like there's times like when I'm by myself at the original store I worked at where I'm by myself for an hour, I have locked the store to run over to Shoppers to go get like a snack I wanted that we don't carry. I've 100% done it. Nice. So I was gone for like maybe 5 to 10, but I 100% did it. So it's feasible-ish is the best way I can put it.
What about keeping animals at the store? The cat.
The cat? At our store, it would be feasible, but nobody would want to take care of the animals. So I would say that's flimsy, but I think it's feasible. It's definitely, nowadays you couldn't get away with it because a lot of convenience stores now have like cooked food. Yeah. So you couldn't do it. We didn't. Everything was obviously packaged. But a cat, like, you don't want to smell that kitty litter in there. But I can... Yeah. I wish I could tell you... I wish I could tell you that the fight they have and how they destroy the store is flimsy. That's not. That is feasible.
Coworkers or customers?
Both.
Oh.
Both. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
What about the drug dealers that have made that parking lot their spot?
I lived on the North Shore and worked on the North Shore. You know that's feasible.
That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
They're the ones looking for the loony.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep. What else? Yeah, I'm not sure. Do you have anything else?
That's probably
yours
immediate ones
okay.
out. Yeah.
Zach?
Yeah, I think those are the good ones.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, the Trulies representative is not feasible. Yeah. A rep would never do that.
Yeah.
So that's flimsy.
Did you have reps come through though?
All the time.
Oh yeah.
All the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I do. Yeah, we did. They were boring.
Is there, as we wrap up here, I'll ask this: is there a scene that you would like to add to Clerks? Is there something Kevin Smith missed? Is there something that you've experienced that you went through that, I mean, you've already told great stories as it is with the loony and everything, but is there a more like, almost like a missed opportunity in the film?
I don't know if I've ever been jealous of a question someone's asked before. That is such a good question.
That is a great question. Honestly, I'm not sure I can think of any. He covered a lot of like the general bases that you deal with when you're working in retail. Yeah, I can't think of anything. I guess the only one. Let's see, how can I dance around this properly? Okay, they actually kind of touch upon it in a different kind of way. The thing not always occurring, but occurring often enough where it was a lot of fun for us all to talk about, was actually relationships between customers and clients, or customers and workers. Like it's what I was talking about. I have a couple stories of some of my coworkers sleeping with people that were our customers. And a lot of the times, those customers' partners didn't know. That was, yeah. That's one of my favorite ones. And now I'm actually remembering more of stuff like that. So that would be the one, because that happened more than once. That would be the only one I could think of that would be in there. But
convenience stores are happening places, man.
Yeah.
I mean, you didn't have any of those apps back in the day. You got to find people where they are.
I guess the other thing as well is that they don't deal with any shoplifters in that episode.
True. Yeah.
So a shoplifter little section probably would have been good, because we dealt with that often. I had a lot of fun with shoplifters at their expense. Again, this is all pre-cell phone, so we could get away with a lot more. And we did. We did. I didn't do too much, but my coworkers, I would get, and when I became a manager, I would get the phone calls like, just so you know, we caught a guy stealing. He might come and complain because we kind of messed him around a little bit. I had one of my coworkers chase down somebody that stole a bag of potato chips and legitimately assaulted him for doing it.
Wow.
Jeez.
Yeah. And I wish I could say I was sad, but I wasn't. I was like, good for you. I wasn't his manager at the time, so I got to cheer him on because I was just a coworker. But I loved that story a lot. A lot.
Yeah, you can't do that anymore.
No.
Different times.
And I get it. Like, obviously it's not, but like, I really love people that pay the price for, you know.
Well, it's like, it's so sad now that like Value Village has a security guard, you know, like that kind of thing. And
I worked there.
Yeah.
Thank goodness they have a security guard.
Yeah. It's so sad that they need it.
That was me.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. It's sad that it's needed, is what it is.
Very sad. Yeah. It's very sad. But
and grocery stores too. It's just, yeah.
Anyway. That's why, like, my stories of the things that my coworkers, I would say like 99% of the stuff that we did to them was not me. I wish it was, but mostly my coworkers, is a delightful memory I will carry.
Yeah. Maybe
like,
that's a scene that would be added to like a modern Clerks remake. Would be the
that
security guard outside.
I was going to ask that before we got to our recommendation. We've been talking a lot about the time back then, the time now, and they did Clerks 3, but we're in an era of reboots and sequels and remakes.
Yeah.
And is it time for Clerks to have a remake? As one of the biggest fans of the movie?
Nope.
No? You
No.
don't see any merit in it?
No.
Story's over.
Story's done. Story's done.
Yeah. Are
Clerks-
Jay and Silent Bob getting some more spin-offs? Is there room there?
They can, and I'll go because I'm obsessed. But
Do Dante and Randall deserve a spin-off?
like, how are they going to spin off? They're already the main characters of their story.
I guess.
That's a good point.
Fair enough.
So I don't know how you spin it off.
A conversational misstep. I apologize.
That's okay. That's okay.
If they were to remake Clerks, what do you think? We could do this as a round question too.
Yeah.
What do you think would be a scene that would be included? Like nowadays, I think you have to have the Karen in there.
Yeah.
With the phone
100,
outs and
100%.
the recording, like I think that would definitely be one of the 9 circles of hell.
Drugs in the
Those
bathroom.
cards there.
Yeah, I think drugs in the bathroom.
Drugs
is
in the
a big
bathroom we
one.
dealt with.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
And it's not really in Clerks. You get the drugs outside, and it's mostly just weed. But now you're getting people shooting up in the bathroom.
No, we had to, because we had the bathroom outside,
Yeah.
you were not to touch the garbage.
Right.
Like, you don't press it down
Yeah.
because you can get stuck with the needle. So at the end of every shift, you just empty it. You
Yeah.
just take the bag out. You just touch it as little as possible and go throw it in the dumpster. Do not touch it.
Yeah, and that's one thing. Like a lot of people, I will hear complaints of like, oh, like I don't understand why there's like sharps containers in bathrooms now. Like, oh, you're just encouraging people to use the bathrooms. No, they're gonna get used to do drugs. Public bathrooms are the number one place for people to do drugs, other than public alleyways. Those are like the two main spots for someone who is going to do that.
It's also not necessarily for them, it's for the worker.
That's exactly what I was about to say. It's not for them to do that. It's for the worker to have a better chance of not getting stuck.
Yes.
That's exactly what it's for. And, you know, I think, and this is kind of the crux of this whole episode and the point of this episode, is hopefully people can reframe how they think about retail spaces and retail workers a little bit, give it a little bit more humanity, which is what it deserves and what those people deserve.
They need to be treated like human beings.
Yeah, and that's exactly
They are
it.
not your slaves.
Yeah, if you think that store should exist, then you think that someone should work there with dignity, and that's something I'm paraphrasing from Brennan Lee Mulligan. Brennan Lee Mulligan. He has a very good anecdote about coffee shops. But yeah, if you think that store should exist and you're there shopping, then you think that people who work there should be able to live in dignity, or you're an a-hole. I'll be PG because this is our PG podcast.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're a pretty bad person if you think that someone should suffer in their work.
Agreed.
Yeah. With that,
I think we should get to the recommendation.
Let's wrap things up
I think we kind of know how this is going to go. But Manny, we're going to ask you to recommend Clerks on a scale of 1 to 10 for our viewers, whether they should watch it. And we're also going to ask you to scale it on 1 to 10, 1 being unrealistic and 10 being the most realistic you can get, on the accuracy that it depicts the job of retail workers.
So I get to give it 2 ratings?
2 ratings.
Okay. The movie is a 10 out of 10.
So that comes.
A slam dunk 10 out of 10. That was easy. In regards to realistic, I'm going to go, I actually want to go 9. And I want to go 9 because I think the interactions that they have are realistic in regards to the customer side. Mm-hmm. What's unrealistic is honestly mostly what Randall does. Because most people, that's what your inner thought is, but you would never do it.
Yeah.
So I think if you look at it from, it's the dichotomy of Dante and Randall being one person.
Yeah, it's kind of like Kevin Smith, because he wanted to play Randall. He was originally going to. It's almost like that was his inner thoughts of everything that he was going to put out there. So that makes total sense.
Well, actually that's going to bug me now. I can see his face. I'm not going to do it. Randall's based off one of his friends. And from everything he said...
Jeff Anderson? Or that's the actor?
No, Jeff Anderson is the actor. I can see his face. Damn it. It's like one of his best friends. I'm not going to get there. Walt Flanagan is the guy that plays the egg guy. Oh, I can see his... nope, I'm not going to get there. Anyways, Randall's based off of him. And from what Kevin Smith said is he actually did some of those things in real life.
Wow.
But that's the exception. I've never, in the years I worked retail, I've never had one of my coworkers be as outgoing and in your face as Randall is, because that would get you fired.
Yeah.
But the things that you have to deal with, those stupid questions, the idiot customers, the ridiculousness of it, again, is incredibly realistic. So I'll give it an 8 in regards to realistic. Okay. It's the reactions that we get from the realistic situations are real. It's the responses, honestly, basically from Randall, is the only reason I won't give this a 10, is because of the way that he is, and some of the outlandish things like the lady having sex with a dead guy. Chances of that are very, very slim. Yeah. Like everything has to fall in place for that to happen. Like the lights have to go out and all that. So I can't quite give it a 10 out of 10.
You got that sleeper joke.
I won't have to. I can't give it a full 10 out of 10. But in regards to everything that happens inside a convenience store, in regards to those customers, is definitely very realistic. It's just the comedic aspects of it, the reactions, the way that what Randall does to them, the spitting on the customer, all that kind of stuff. That is unrealistic. So I'll give it an 8.
All right. Nice. I think that's a pretty good score.
Yeah, that's really good. I think that ties you for our top realism rating.
Nice.
It's, Clerks and Patch Adams, I believe, both got 8s.
Sweet.
But that's just off the top of my head. So on our way out here, because we know, Manny, you have some other projects going on. Why don't we give you the floor to maybe plug what you've got going on in your life?
Well, I host 2 other podcasts, both with Kyle here. We host one here on the TELUS Network, Small Town Big Screen, which is a lot of fun. We just wrapped up season 2. Hopefully we can get season 3 going. And then I have what I call my hobby podcast, which is the Samuel Manuel Movie Podcast, which is audio only. You can find it on Spotify or anywhere else, that I've been doing for 8 years.
Your unpaid internship podcast.
My unpaid internship, yes. We just actually recorded episode 380.
Wow.
Last week.
Yeah.
So you can look for us on Spotify. It's a a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And that's all I want to plug.
Nice. Thanks. Very nice.
Excellent.
Well, thank you very much, Manny, for coming on.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
It's been a lot of fun. So I guess we'll sign off there. If you would like to find us on social media, you can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Capes of Kamloops. And maybe it's a .pod on Instagram. I think it is. Feel free to reach out, get in touch, give us some recommendations for maybe season 2. And feel free to get in touch with Manny. He loves to interact with listeners. He makes some really good content, so definitely go check it out. And if we're leaving on any message at all, be kind to a retail worker right after you see this. Yes, go say thank you, go be nice, do your thing. And with that, thanks for listening.
All right, hello everybody. Welcome to this special screening of Clerks, put on to you by Capes of Kamloops Podcast, brought to you by StoryHive and TELUS. My name is Zach, this is Kyle. We're the hosts of the podcast Capes of Kamloops, where we're looking at our local working heroes in the community and celebrating them by telling their stories on the big or presenting their professions on the big screen. Not necessarily their stories, but we will be hearing their stories on the podcast, which we are doing a video podcast along with these screenings, where tonight we're watching Clerks. So we're going to be celebrating our retail workers, and we are going to be sitting down with one of our local retail workers and asking them how they found the film, inaccuracy, and depiction of what they go through in their daily works. And with that, I'm going to pass this over to Kyle to give you some more information.
Thanks again for coming, everybody. Today, we for those who have come multiple times, we always find a charity that's applicable to the profession that we're covering. And there are, from our research, no charities that are out there supporting retail workers, in Canada at least. So we switched to the Kamloops Food Bank. They help everybody, but maybe we can all make a concerted effort to say thank you to our friends and family and community members who do that work for us and keep our businesses running. But thank you to all who did donate to the Kamloops Food Bank. I'm sure they will appreciate it quite a bit. On top of that, we just want to say thank you to the Paramounts and to everyone who donates their time here and has helped us set this up. It means a lot to us, and hopefully it means something to the community. So with that, I think that's my bit.
Yeah, and just one more thing about the podcast. The podcast is going to be coming out next year around the spring. It's going to be on TELUS TV Optic. It's going to be on YouTube and Spotify. And we've already sat down with a fire worker. Or fireman, policeman. We've also sat down with a social worker. We've also sat down with the teachers. We got a bunch of great interviews with our local heroes that you can check out next year on the podcast, Capes of Kamloops. With that said, please enjoy the show.